Hello everyone, my name is Valor, and today I want us to explore a different kind of series, and that is of course DC, and more specifically Dark Knight's Metal, The Darkest Night. I will not be going too in depth with certain points in this video since a lot of DC is interconnected, and to scale one person you kind of have to scale them all. So for the sake of time, I will be telling you of the feats without going into too much detail, as this video is mainly covering the abilities and powers of the Darkest Knight and not necessarily how he stacks up compared to the rest of DC, although I will mention a few things here and there. Starting off, the Darkest Knight is what you could refer to as a composite Batman, that being basically every version of Batman combined into one. In this case, it is every dark multiverse Batman, so every Batman we see from the Death Metal comics run can be applied to the Darkest Knight in most cases. Just the components of the Darkest Knight are already insanely powerful, with the Batman who laughs being able to rip apart the fabric of reality and Dr. Manhattan being his own can of worms. The numerous powers of the Darkest Knight are a reflection of many of DC's characters, with the Darkest Knight possessing such things like the anti-life equation from Allfather and being able to literally rip apart the barrier between reality and the imaginary with the Batmage. Just imagine an 8-foot tall lady in your head and the Darkest Knight can just make it real and find some sort of way to make it really painful of an experience for you. The Darkest Knight is the dark multiverse and is a reflection of Batman's greatest fears. It is him and he is it. He's a walking multiverse. The Darkest Knight exists only as a dream and is literally the fear of what Batman might become. Not to mention, he literally stitched every Batman's experiences and abilities onto himself to reach higher levels of power, and he is above all of them, having surpassed them and having been stronger than those abilities and those Batmen. Not only is the Darkest Knight capable of anything these other Batmen have done and is greater than any of them, but he is also capable of stealing powers, as when he talks about the Flash, he comments that he will steal his power. To streamline his powers a bit more, I will quickly list through his unbelievable amount of abilities to show the absolute powerhouse the Darkest Knight was. First, TDK, the Darkest Knight, is able to upload himself into any piece of technology, and there thus is a direct counter to cyber-based opponents, being able to directly attack them on their own playing field. Second was the fact that he has training from Wonder Woman, who is an Amazon and within DC is renowned for her close combat skills. Being a close quarters combat type fighter, this is a strong ability, but it's sort of eclipsed by the fact that the Merciless exists, which is a Batman with Ares powers. Ares himself knowing every form of war and martial arts to have ever existed. Same with how Batman knows every martial arts on the planet. TDK possesses all of these and is greater than any of them, and all of them combined. Third is TDK's insane mind hacks resistance, as Jaro, with a 5x amp to his mental capabilities, could not break through the Darkest Knight's mental barriers, Jaro himself having some of the best mind hacks in all of DC. Fourth deals with his intellect and how he is smarter than Robin, who by himself was able to craft bullets that could kill the undead, meaning TDK has methods to deal with those that are classed as dead. Fifth is TDK's ability to trap you inside an imaginary world with no escape, effectively giving him a way of shutting down anyone who even tries to oppose him, and it completely shuts down people who can't even really break out of these types of things. Sixth is the Darkest Knight's ability to corrupt the things around him. This was so strong in fact that he literally corrupted the Speed Force while chasing the 3 Flashes. Seventh is the Darkest Knight's interactions with the story itself. Multiple times, the Darkest Knight has threatened to end stories and taint them too. This goes so far as to where even Superboy Prime with a retcon punch could not kill the Darkest Knight or even change his story. He simply just keeps going forward. Even when every hero combines their story into one, they still could not defeat the Darkest Knight. Eighth is his interaction with seeing into the future. Wonder Woman could see into the past, present and future, but when she looked into the future, all she saw was the Darkest Knight, meaning that even if you could see into the future, and try to stop TDK that way, you'd be in a dead end on arrival, you'd be DOA, since all you would see is the Darkest Night, effectively making things like precognition pointless. Ninth is the Darkest Knight's ability to weaken anyone who attacks him, as with when Superman tried attacking someone from the Dark Multiverse, he grew weaker with every punch and is mocked for trying to even fight them. And finally, at 10th, we have the raw fact that everyone in the multiverse, all the way up to Perpetua herself, could not stop the Darkest Knight while working together. Even those in the God Sphere were terrified of his power, and beings like Darkseid are nothing compared to the Darkest Knight. These are not all of the Darkest Knight's abilities, but they are some of the most prominent. Something else that should be noted about the Darkest Knight is its insane amount of accomplishments, such as binding the demon Etrigan to his soul via the Batmage, being able to rip open the doors to hell and controlling all the realms of magic. He trapped the Parliament of Trees in an eternal flame, he trapped Mr. Miracle in Avalon, has access to the 7 deadly sins, has learned chaos magic and is strong enough to have killed Mordru. Other things, like having been able to sit on the Mobius chair and use its knowledge, are just a few of the crazy amount of things the Darkest Knight has managed to accomplish. Even at his peak, when he was dying in the Death Sun, not only was he able to withstand it for a somewhat brief time, but his death caused a massive explosion on the Death Sun, which should speak volumes for just how tough the Darkest Knight actually is. All of this, however, pales in comparison to the Darkest Knight's ability to not only wield fragments of the Source, like boxing gloves, but he was also able to kill Perpetua, who's hundreds of times stronger than Barbatos. Barbatos himself was able to survive the Overvoid, and may even be comparable to people like Mandrak, although this is highly debatable. At the climax of the Darkest Knight's run, he's easily the strongest being in the multiverse, and stands at its top. Excluding those super high tiers, the Darkest Knight is the strongest villain the multiverse has ever seen. Thank you all for watching. I'm very new to DC, so if I said anything incorrect, feel free to let me know. As I go through more of DC and explore its other aspects, I'll be sure to make more videos on them and definitely have more depth in them in this video. This was just a quick rundown on all the crazy stuff and accomplishments the Darkest Knight has racked up, and I didn't even get to cover them all. I wish I could cover more of these feats in more depth, but I simply just lack the knowledge to actually explore them more in depth, since I'm currently reading DC and I'm still expanding my knowledge base. Thank you all for watching. My name has been Valor, and I hope to see you all next time.